From Canada, Citizens Forum, where we look at the important issues of the day through a lens of democracy and media and try to figure out, how do we build a better country for ourselves? Hello, it is Sunday, August 31st, 2025. My name is Jack Etkin. Welcome to From Canada Citizens Forum. This is about the housing disaster and the homeless disaster are completely deliberate. They have been caused in Canada by the evil and heartless people who run Canada and the United States. And I use the words evil and heartless because what these people did and what they are still doing has caused a lot of trouble and suffering and stress and sickness and death for a lot of Canadians. And they don't care. Who are the people who did this housing disaster to us? I think they are the 0.01%, the corporate elites. They have deliberately created this housing nightmare, and they've used it to steal a lot of money from a lot of people. The high rents and high mortgages, the high mortgage payments that so many people have to deal with, these are just a transfer of wealth from the people at the bottom to the people at the top. And that's why the people at the top set this up. In Canada, people's homes are being used as a way to transfer wealth from a lot of hardworking Canadians. And that money is going to the investor class and to the banksters and financiers and etc. In Canada today, the lower income classes are being sucked dry by the 0.01%. And they're doing it through our homes by creating a shortage of homes in Canada and then using that shortage to push up rents and push up mortgage payments and push up prices. Our governments, which in my opinion are completely controlled by big business and the 0.01%, our politicians and governments have been totally complicit in creating this housing and poverty nightmare. But the top politicians have had very nice careers, and that's all they care about. So they were happy to do their part to create this housing mess. And they have all pretended for the past 20 years that they're trying their best to fix things up. We care, they say. We're doing our best. But for the past 25 years, the housing situation has been getting worse for millions of people. And yet we continue to believe and trust the politicians, even as things continue to get worse. Our provincial and federal governments used to build houses for Canadians. They built houses by the tens of thousands every year for decades. In fact, in the mid-1970s, about 1/3 of all housing starts in Canada were government-assisted low-income housing starts. So to say that again, in the mid-1970s, 1/3 of all housing starts in Canada were government-assisted and for low-income people, which is exactly what we need now, but they won't do it, right? And back then, paying for a home was never crazy like it is now. But after the 70s, in fact, in the 90s really is when it started, our politicians got out of the home building business and they turned home building over to the private sector. And look where we are now. Because the private sector is the banks and the financiers and the investors and big business. And they turned our homes into a casino for the rich, where they win and we pay. Fortunes have been made from our homes. And guess who all those fortunes came from? Guess who's paying for all those fortunes? That's why the housing industry created a shortage of housing, to push up rents and push up prices. And if you don't think this is true, just have a look around. And they've created such a mess that if prices do come down, a lot of people are going to be screwed by that. And the people who did this to us don't give a damn for 1 second. So We should say thank you to all our top politicians over the past 30 years. They sold us out to big business. They betrayed us. They all did their part to set things up so a lot of money would be taken from a lot of hardworking people, and that money would be given to the investors and banksters and financiers and profiteers so they can have bigger estates and newer yachts and a second private jet. That's what the housing crisis is really all about. And no politician and nobody in the media ever asks the question, where does all that money go from the high rents and crazy mortgages that so many people have to pay? Who gets the money? Why is that never talked about? Why do we have a shortage of homes in the second biggest country in the world and with a population of only 40 million people? And who benefits from that shortage of homes? And the corporate-owned media are even worse than the corporate-owned politicians. For example, the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which is a reputable agency, said in 2021, I think, that more than 1.3 million homes in Canada sit vacant. That number is from the OECD. So 1.3 million vacant homes in Canada. But obviously, neither our media nor our politicians could be less interested in that story. It's like, who cares? And maybe the numbers are wrong. But why is there no discussion about this? And from what I've read, our governments deliberately created a situation where owning a vacant home in Canada was a way to make a lot of money. In fact, one expert I read said you'd have to be an idiot not to own a vacant home if you were an investor. So the government set this up to benefit the rich, and we pay the price. And again, I'm not sure that 1.3 million vacant homes number is correct, but it's out there. And why is it never discussed? Why can't we find out if it's true or not? Why can't we find out why it makes sense for investors to own vacant homes in Canada, which creates more of a shortage, and then people have to pay the price? I think one big problem in Canada is that we Canadians don't realize the total corruption of our media and the total corruption of our politicians and governments. They don't work for us. Our politicians and media work for big business. Well, and they work for big business while we think we live in a great democracy and have a free press, which is a wonderful situation for them. And that's what I thought for most of my life. But we are not a great democracy and we don't have a free press. Canada is run by and for big business and the super rich. And that's why I think we have this housing nightmare. Because some people are making a lot of money from the housing shortage, and they are the people our politicians and media work for. Big business wanted to steal people's money in Canada, so they created a housing shortage, and they pushed up rents, and they pushed up mortgage payments. And as they say, the rest is history, with millions of Canadians paying the price. And it's really time we started to figure this out. Thank you very much for watching this segment of From Canada Citizens Forum.